And welcome to the Anaheim Planning Commission. Sorry, I'm reading off my phone today. Meeting of December 16th, 2024. My name is Christopher Walker, Chairperson of the Anaheim Planning Commission. As a reminder, Planning Commission meetings are now broadcast on all our channels, including the web and Anaheim TV Channel 3. The first order of business is to salute our flag. Commissioner Kelly will lead us in the flag salute. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, I will ask the Planning Commission Secretary to take a verbal roll call vote of all planning commissioners.
Chair Walker.
Here.
Vice Chair Kring. Commissioner Lieberman.
Here.
Commissioner Perez. Commissioner Castro.
Here.
Commissioner Kelly.
Here.
Commissioner Tran Martin.
Here. No worries.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. If you would all please silence your electronic communication devices so that they do not disrupt the proceedings, we would appreciate that. The doors at the back of the room are automatic. They open when you get close to them, and they don't close until you walk down the hall. Please move away from the automatic doors to allow them to close. Today, we have two public hearing items on the agenda. I would ask everyone who is going to speak on any item to please complete a yellow speaker card and give it to staff if you have not already done so. The cards can be found on the table at the entrance. When you fill out the speaker card, please identify the item you are speaking on and pick the appropriate checked box at the bottom of the form, either applicant, in favor, in opposition, or neither. In accordance with the Planning Commission procedures and rules of order, speakers will be called forward in the order, or in this order, and then the order received for each of the three designations. Please keep your remarks as brief as you can. We are influenced more by the content than the length of your presentation. First, we would provide an opportunity for any member of the public to speak on items of interest to the public that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the commission. Is there anyone here to speak at this time? Seeing no one, we will move on to the public hearing. Prior to beginning the public hearing, I will ask the planning commissioners for any disclosures they wish to make regarding the items on today's agenda. Seeing none, please note that the actions taken by the Planning Commission tonight will be final unless in 10 calendar days an appeal is filed with the city clerk. The appeal deadline for item 1 is Thursday, December 26, 2024 at 5 p.m. Appeal forms and information are on the city clerk's webpage. Item 2 is a request for the Planning Commission to recommend City Council approval for consideration at a future City Council meeting. I will now begin public hearing and ask staff to present item 1. Ms. Tran.
Good evening, Chair Walker and members of the Planning Commission. The item before you tonight is a conditional use permit request from RL Carriers to allow a new transit facility. The business would be used for freight, shipping, and logistics, where goods will arrive at the facility, be processed, and then loaded onto other trucks. All deliveries would be processed and reloaded within 24 hours, so there would be no long-term storage at the facility. The project is shown in yellow on this slide, which is located on Winston Road near Sunkist Street. Surrounding uses include commercial and industrial developments. The applicant proposes to construct a transit facility comprised of a truck terminal building, maintenance building, and a private fueling station. Access would be taken from 2 driveways on Winston Road that will be gate-controlled past the front parking lot area. There is a Southern California Edison easement at the rear portion of the property shown in yellow. Along the southern boundary, there are existing train tracks which parallel Cerritos Avenue. The 47,000 square foot terminal building would include warehouse and office uses. The 1-story building would consist of stucco and aluminum elements with white and green building colors. The elevations shown here are the northern and southern elevations. The east and west elevations are shown here. Truck loading areas would be provided on both sides of the building with a total of 84 doors. The maintenance building would handle minor truck repairs like oil changes and brake services. The building is about 20 feet tall, made of aluminum materials. The proposed fueling station includes a 19-foot tall green canopy with 3 fueling pumps. The applicant proposes an 8-foot tall wrought iron fence along the southern property line adjacent to the railroad, instead of the standard 8-foot decorative masonry wall or chain link fence with PVC slats. This variance is warranted due to unique circumstances specific to the site, including its location within a large SCE easement area and the significant distance, which is over 270 feet, between the maintenance building and Cerritos Avenue. Unlike other properties in the same zoning classification, this site is uniquely affected by its substantial distance from the railroad. While this condition primarily impacts the rear of the property, Cerritos Avenue also serves as a frontage for surrounding properties. The iron fence would enhance safety, improve surveillance of the easement area, and maintain visibility. The facility would operate 24 hours, 7 days a week, with most activities taking place Monday through Friday in 2 shifts. The day shift works from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., focusing on dock operations, office tasks, driver facilities, and minor maintenance. The night shift from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. would primarily handle routine truck maintenance. The code does not specify parking requirements for transit facilities, but requires a parking demand study to determine appropriate parking needs. The applicant estimates 43 employees per shift. Therefore, the maximum parking demand is expected to be 86 vehicles during shift changes. The project would provide 120 parking spaces, which is adequate to meet the needs of the facility. Additional parking for trucks and semi-tractors is also included, which is separate from the regular parking spaces. A mitigated negative declaration has been prepared to evaluate the environmental impacts of the project per the requirements of the California Environmental Quality Act. The document was circulated to public agencies, property owners, and interested parties for review. The city received 6 comment letters, and a response to the comments are included as an attachment to the staff report. Received comments were generally related to traffic and air quality. These comments did not raise any new environmental impacts or mitigation measures, therefore revision of the document is not required. With implementation of mitigation measures to lessen project impacts, the project will not have a significant impact upon the environment. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve the project and the mitigated negative declaration subject to conditions of approval. The proposed transit facility is compatible with the surrounding industrial businesses. The variance request for a wrought iron fence is justified due to the unique features of the property. The environmental review concluded that the project would not have a significant environmental impact with adoption of the mitigation measures. This concludes staff's presentation. Staff and the applicant is available to answer any questions the commission may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners? Okay, I'm going to open the public hearing. Does the applicant wish to make a presentation?
Along with Stan Richards with, thank you, R&L Carriers, and Trevor Gaskin with Coast Construction Group. Just like I said, to introduce ourselves in case you did have any questions. I understand Stan has some stuff. Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Stan Richards. I'm Vice President with R&L Carriers. Appreciate the opportunity to be a continued partner in the city of Anaheim. We are currently have a smaller service center on La Jolla Street and have just grown out of it. If we could go ahead and start that, please. Have just a quick presentation. So as I said, we want to be a continued partner and looking forward to favorable approval tonight. Next slide, please. And we'll go ahead and skip that for time's sake. So our company was started by Ralph Lawrence Sr. in 1965. You see a picture of him in his driveway with his very first truck with a hand-stenciled R&L on top of the truck at the age of 19 years old. Next slide, please. This is the trucks that you would see today roaming the streets, much different than the first one that he ever brought out. Next slide, please. That was the first service center in Wilmington, Ohio, where we still claimed our corporate office. Kind of a hodgepodge of buildings. As he would get money, he would build different buildings there. Next slide, please. We boast of the fact that this is our corporate office today, 2 3-story buildings that take care of our administrative staff. We also boast of the fact that we have the largest cross-dock facility in the United States here with 485 doors. Next slide, please. This is a facility that was built in Arlington, Washington, which is our Seattle facility, much like that was shown earlier. And I'll say a couple more things and then I'll move on. We started out with 1 man, 1 truck. Today we have over 21,000 employees. Started out with 1 truck. Today we have over 35,000 pieces of equipment on the road today. We have 140 service centers that serve the United States. We are the only company, I'll brag on ownership a little bit. We are the only company in the United States, just not trucking, but the only company in the United States, that if you're an employee with R&L Carriers, you have vacation time, and you have transportation, we have 4 different employee resorts that you can stay in for free. So we have a company that is family-owned, and we're treated like family, very much so. I'm happy to be a part of this group. I've been with R&L Carriers for 24 years, and appreciate the time tonight. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners? Will the secretary please call for any comments? I'm assuming there's none, but okay, very good. No need for a rebuttal, I'm assuming, and so I will close the public hearing. Any discussion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
Very good. No comments? Then we proceed to vote.
Six yes votes, the motion carries.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for being a partner. Item 2, staff presentation is Heather Allen.
Thank you, and good evening, Chair Walker, members of the Planning Commission. So this is a city-initiated request to amend various sections of the zoning code as ordered by the Orange County Superior Court in the Grandma's House of Hope case. State law requires that transitional housing and supportive housing be considered as a residential use of property, subject to only those restrictions that apply to other residential dwellings of the same type in the same zone. The court, in its ruling, found the city to be in violation of this law and directed the city to revise associated definitions and make code amendments, including removing the requirement for a conditional use permit for transitional or supportive housing with 7 or more residents that it does not require for other dwellings of the same type in the same residential zone. The draft ordinance was provided as attachment 1 to your staff report. It amends the use table in single-family residential zones and updates the definitions of transitional housing, supportive housing, and target population. Additional amendments for consistent treatment with other residential dwellings of the same type have been identified for certain commercial zones, special purpose zone, and the Beach Boulevard specific plan. Staff recommends the Planning Commission recommend approval to the City Council in compliance with the court order. I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? See none? Oh, okay.
And this is, I guess, in regards to more of the, not the actual individual court case, but just in regards to sober living homes or whatnot. There's clearly been an exacerbation of them a little bit more, I think, even since this issue first popped up. But what I have seen is a lot of them have gone towards this model of where they're providing housing, is what they're saying. Would that interfere with our short-term rental, I guess, codes or restrictions?
No. It does get a little murky, but first and foremost, this action before you tonight is transitional and supportive, does not involve the sober living homes ordinances that has been previously adopted by the city council. As far as STRs, they also have their own regulations, and generally our office works pretty closely with code enforcement when we have issues. What box is the particular use in, and how can we prove that up? So our office is not concerned about any sort of conflict with the short-term rentals ordinance.
Got it. Okay. And then kind of follow up to that for, I guess, in this case, for any of the transitional housing or supportive housing, do part of our restrictions or part of our policies require the tenants to have some type of rental agreement or procedures with them?
For transitional and supportive housing, the short answer is no. We did not require that even when we had a CUP, because generally transitional and supportive housing is meant to be sort of, at least with transitional, temporary housing, allowing people some access to services till they move on to a more permanent situation. With sober living homes, we may require a rental agreement, but it really depends on whether or not the particular home, be it you're talking about any kind of group home for the most part, are they operating as a single housekeeping unit or not? And generally rental agreements indicate that it is not working as a single housekeeping unit.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Public hearing closed? Okay, then I'll wait.
See no more comments. I'll close the public hearing and call on Ms.
Okay, I just want to say before we vote here that I'm very, very familiar with the history of not only Grandma's House of Hope in the city, but other transitional housing, and applaud the city of Anaheim for trying to fight this situation. I can understand the state creating a law that says, you know, transitional housing is to be considered residential, period, because we have a housing crisis. But when you start putting 28 people into a single-family residence and all the services to support those 28 people, you're no longer talking about a residential situation. You're delving into commercial territory. And I do understand there's a court order. I can't really vote no, but my vote will be reflected accordingly. Thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Tryon Martin, seconds. Can we vote?
Five yes votes, 1 vote to abstain. Commissioner Lieberman, the motion carries.
So that closes the public hearing items. We have one business item to terminate conditional use permits previously issued to transitional or supportive housing. Is there a staff presentation on this?
Yes, just a bit of information. So this is a city-initiated request to terminate conditional use permits previously issued for transitional or supportive housing, implementing the order from the Orange County Superior Court in the Grandma's House of Hope case. Pursuant to the zoning code, termination requests initiated by staff come before the Planning Commission at a regular meeting. The court directed the city to provide notification to prior applicants that their operations are no longer limited by any restrictions in previously issued conditional use permits for transitional or supportive housing in Anaheim. Therefore, and in furtherance of the direction issued by the court, city staff has identified 7 previously issued conditional use permits which are no longer in use. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission terminate the 7 conditional use permits in furtherance of the court order. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Questions? Go ahead.
I do have one question. What sort of notices were provided to the surrounding homes about the cancellation?
Sure. As a termination, the notice requirement is only to the operator and the property owner, so not to the surrounding homes.
I have one question. Are we terminating it or are we just recommending it?
No, this would be your action.
Okay.
Just on the history of it, did we choose to appeal that case, or did we just go with it?
We did. The original order of the Orange County Superior Court was entered in April. We did file a notice of appeal. We had been proceeding down that path, and then there was a determination in November to withdraw the appeal.
Any more questions? It's not a public hearing, so I don't have to close it, but I can call for a motion.
I do have a question. This is just hypothetical. What if we choose not to get rid of them? What would occur in regards, just hypothetically speaking?
So the Orange County Order of the Superior Court did not mandate a termination of the CUP requirements. What's before you is a request from the Planning Department of the reality of you have CUPs out there. What the Orange County Superior Court certainly said is if the city were to enforce the terms of these CUPs, it would be in violation of the court order. It would be in violation likely of state law if a court would make the same determination it's already made. So as a matter of practical efficacy, it makes sense to not have on the books conditional use permits, which the city is prohibited from enforcing. So nothing would happen today, but you'd have a city staff who really would be unable to complete their code enforcement duties without violating a court order.
I'll make the motion to approve the, termination?
I'll second.
Comments or questions? Shall we vote? Oh, wait, Jeannie.
Sorry, I have one more question. So what is the process for surrounding residents if there are issues or complaints? Is it just a general code enforcement like any other neighbor complaint? Okay.
Correct, exactly. By the state law, basically saying these uses are treated similarly to any other residential use, the same code enforcement process would be in place, and the same nuisance process would be in place.
And we actually think that this action tonight, should it be approved, will actually assist code enforcement with the ability to be able to educate as well as inform the surrounding residents. And nothing in our existing code enforcement process, which is basically complaint-driven, would change in that regard.
I have one question. Do we have limits on the number of people that can live in a house as a part of a normal residential code?
I'm going to refer to the building code that does address number of residents. And as you recall, with the case of Grandma's House of Hope, which did originally request 21 persons, they then reduced it because I believe it's 17. You do need to potentially install fire sprinklers, which can be a cost prohibitive request. So there are numbers on There are a limited number of residents, but the Orange County Superior Court has said that we cannot treat transitional or supportive facilities regardless of their numbers any differently than we would treat a single-family residence. And we don't require CUPs for single-family residents, even if we have a very large family residing there.
But if we have multiple families, which I think we all know occurs, and they hit over 21 people, do we have an ability in a normal residence to enforce that?
Under the building code, there are limits on bedroom size and things like that.
But they would also have to do sprinklers if they were over 17. In theory.
In theory, yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Anyone have any more questions? Shall we vote?
Five yes votes, one abstaining, Commissioner Kring.
No.
Commissioner Lieberman abstains. The motion carries.
Very good. That's the last item on the business calendar. Commission updates.
Well, in the spirit of keeping things brief tonight, I do not have any updates for you other than we will be adjourning to January 13th. Did I say that right this time? January 13th, 2025. So have a long break and happy holidays.
Very good. We're adjourned.
I
Oh,
have a quickie comment. On your way out this evening, when you're coming out of the garage, instead of making the usual right, go out via the left. There's a house on the corner of Broadway in Philadelphia. My friend Bruce Townsend, I'm sure you've seen this house. It's the most outrageous Christmas decorations you will ever see. He's won Anaheim Beautiful Award for his Christmas decorations so many times they won't give it to him anymore. So this is a sight to be seen. And if you, like I said, if you pull left out of the parking garage and then towards Broadway, you'll be right in front of it. So Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.